Yo, what's up guys? Chase Arevalo back at you with another video. Today, I'm super excited. We're gonna be breaking down a video of Roger Federer and his best court level points in Indian Wells 2017. So if you're not familiar with who I am, my name is Chase Arevalo. I coach at IMG Academy. I was mentored by Nick Bollettieri when I was a coach at IMG Academy. I was mentored by Rick Macy when I was a director at his academy in Boca Raton, Florida. And I've also played Division I tennis, and I've worked with WTA player Lulu Sun as well, who's top 50 in the world. And yeah, guys, so let's get straight into it. Ace T. Notice, Roger Federer keeps his left hand on the throat of the racket until the ball bounces. His left arm is parallel with the baseline here, okay? And his left arm is relatively straight, okay? It's relatively straight. Notice he separates the left and the right. The left arm is level. Notice how his left shoulder blade is facing directly forward this way. His opponent can see a little bit of his back, okay? And notice how his weight is balanced, but his right toe is pointed more to the right side, okay? You can replicate those checkpoints for your own forehand as well. Okay, notice when he lets go of the left hand, the racket head is above the wrist. The racket head is above the wrist. The racket head is still above the wrist. Notice how he just pops out into the open stance there. Look, he goes inside in, his opponent goes here. He steps in for this ball, and then notice for the next shot, he split steps and takes one little hop step into the open stance. Watch that again. He steps in on this ball, okay, split step, one split, then one hop step into open stance. That takes a lot of footwork. He makes it look really easy, but pay attention. He takes a hop step into the open stance there. So sometimes you don't need to do a million adjustment steps. The higher level you get better with each step you take, and you've had more experience taking those steps. So then you can do something similar to Federer here by taking one calculated step. Open stance on the run, pushes off the right. Notice how his chest angle on his serve, his chest is pointing up to the ball. His chest, the middle of his chest, his sternum, is pointing directly up to the ball here. Okay? So pay attention on your own serve footage. When you push your legs up from the ground, does your chest point up to the sky? Especially on kick serves. This is classic. Roger versus Rafa. Federer does a great job staying tight to the baseline, sending the ball back so quick. Rafa gets it back, boom, sends it back, boom, sends it back. Takes it early again. Takes it early again. Yeah, so he's taking space and time away from Rafa Nadal. Huge there. So if you're Roger Federer's opponent here, you have to make a decision. Am I going to go cross court, which I'm only going to do if I can hit a winner, if I'm approaching on the shot, Or am I going to rip it down the line and come into net? Let's see what his opponent does. Okay, so look, you see that Federer won the point. You see how he hit some good shots. But why did he win that point? It's very simple. What allowed Federer to stay in that point was his opponent's lack of good decision making there. Why did he go cross on that approach? If he follows the rules that we set, right, he earned the short ball. He got the short ball, okay? I would argue he should turn his shoulders more. He should actually get the racket set back properly. But it's clear here. Very difficult situation here to rip a backhand cross-court winner. Very difficult scenario. So if you're Federer's opponent here, okay, you have to rip down the line and follow it in. Yeah, there's just a reason why Federer was able to stay in that point. Would have been a different story, potentially, if you went line there. Notice with that kick serve, the goal there was get the ball above his opponent's strike zone, so he has to return it above his head there. Great split step from Federer. Good body serve. So look, Federer's opponent does a great job returning the ball to his feet here. So this is Steve Johnson. So Steve Johnson does a great job ripping through, blocking that return deep to Federer's feet, okay? Your goal, if you're a high-level player, D1 or above, is like return to your opponent's feet so they have to hit something like this. That's going to be your goal on a lot of first serve returns, okay? So, wow, Steve Johnson does a good job running around it. Tough one there. Notice how Roger Federer's opponent went open stance on that approach shot. Good decision to go down the line here on this approach. Now, would I recommend doing this jump on the volley? Probably not. And yeah, you still would probably want to go down the line on that approach shot there. You don't really want to give Federer a forehand on the run there, unless you can really just put it away for sure. By the way, what's a shot right now that you need to improve? I'm curious. Let me know in the comments below what shot you need to improve. Yeah, so there, like let's say this is your match, right? Let's say like you're Rafa Nadal, you know, you're playing Federer or whatever. So here, what you can look at objectively is that he's given him a shorter ball, right? So if you see in your matches, time and time again, your balls are landing around there right at the service line or even shorter, you need to start training better zones and you need to train your neutral ball to stay deeper. And that doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen just because of luck. You have to train it specifically, okay? So I'll put you onto some game right here, okay? Get some cones, split no man's land right here in the middle in half with cones, and then practice your forehands and backhands cross court and just your neutral balls, okay? And practice getting your balls in this particular zone here or here, okay? And split no man's land in half. Now, if you're starting this at the beginning, you can have your coaches feed you balls from the basket or hand feed you balls. Now, eventually you want to get into doing this live ball, okay? And then when you start live ball, the first goals are, okay, get like 50 or 100 total in the zone. Make that easy for you. Like you're not counting how many in a row, just total in the zone, okay? Then from there, you want to start being a little bit more tough on yourself with your targets, okay? By not making it just total, okay? Which will help you a ton at the beginning. But then that's not good enough. And then you have to be more consistent with like how often you're able to get it in the zone, how many times in a row, okay? And there's some more advanced things that you can get programmed there, okay? But let's continue watching. But yeah, final thoughts on that is just apply those drills into your practice sessions with your coaches if you're struggling with keeping consistent depth on your neutral balls. All right, so if you're seeing in your footage, you're hitting the balls too short, that immediately is the drill that you should be applying into your practices. And you should be doing it live ball if you're not a beginner. Notice how when Federer jumps up on the overhead, notice how his chest is still pointing up. So what he does is he pushes from the ground, his thoracic spine bends, his chest is traveling up, and that snaps his body to kind of catapult into more power, okay? So that's something you can replicate for your own overheads and serves, all right? Awesome. Well, that's it for this video, guys. I hope you got some tremendous value out of it. If you did, drop a comment, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.